Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 18th of September. Good to have you aboard. We're part of the Believe Podcast Network and presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, hit and run, motorcycle, slip and fall, boating, first you call 911, then you call Anidjar and Levine. They take care of you like family, just like the way they took care of me the moment that we launched ZASLOW Show 2.0. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. Glad to have you aboard here to start the week. Obviously have a fun show for everybody planned today. We kick off the week with your Miami Hurricanes, 3-0, number 20 in the nation. Your Miami Dolphins, 2-0, atop the AFC East. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you want to get the week started. So, we're going to do a lot of Dolphins today, obviously. We're going to do our NFL rundown, always brought to us by Brunt Insurance, bruntinsurance.com. We're going to give out our awards after a Dolphins win. We tell you who our dogs were, so we'll give you our top 3 dogs from yesterday's Dolphins win. We'll do a little college football as well. I'll be honest with you, and this is a straight up direct result of ESPN Radio. I am more dialed in to college football than I've been, I can't even tell you when, in forever. I am so much more into, I don't even know if into like I care more about it. I don't think that's the case. I'm so much more involved and dialed into college football than I can't even tell you the last time when. So that's a good thing. We'll circle back to that. Obviously, Dolphins the main story today. But first, got to tell you guys, your boy had a weekend. Great weekend. I took my boys. We were in Fort Worth, Texas for a couple nights. Thursday night, Friday night. Came back Saturday night. We saw Pearl Jam on Friday, my 26th time seeing Pearl Jam. It was so wonderful. Really nice arena they had there. Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. It's a rodeo arena, but they had the NCAA tournament there last year. They have concerts that come there. It's rather new. It's only a few years old. This was a great little arena. And when I say arena, 14,000 people. Sold out to the, packed to the rafters, behind the stage and everything. Not an empty seat in the building. The ZASLOW boys, we had a great time. It was my older son Corey's 3rd time seeing Pearl Jam. It was my younger son Jordan's 1st time seeing Pearl Jam. So the first time the 3 of us together. I saw Pearl Jam for the very first time when I was 16 years old. And in my 26th show, all 3 of us, all of the ZASLOW boys, saw Pearl Jam together. It was a really special night. We had such a great time. We had amazing seats. I love them so much. I mean, it's a small little tour that they're doing this year, although I think they're going to tour again next year because apparently they have a new album coming out. They're only playing 5 or 6 cities, so we got to go to the one that was most convenient, Fort Worth, Texas, Friday night. What a show. 24 songs, 2.5 hours the band played. And just for people who aren't into Pearl Jam, which I understand is the majority of my audience, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it's very difficult to explain just how important this band is to everyone who was in attendance there, because pretty much the entire building are all 10 Club members, all members of the fan club. So everyone there cares so much about this band. And it's such a wonderful atmosphere. It was a tremendous night. I can't wait for the next time that we all go. So, unbelievable weekend for your boy. Had such a great time. Also, during the day on Friday, we took a tour of AT&T Stadium. We took a tour of the Cowboys Stadium. Phenomenal. Awesome stadium. I mean, you guys see it on television. They kicked the shit out of the Jets yesterday. You see it on television. It's enormous. You know, we're talking like 90,000 people sit there. We got to go in the locker rooms. We got to go on the field and play football. My son was kicking field goals. He booted one. My son booted one from 25 yards out, right through the uprights. So we were able to play football on the field, which was really cool. And yeah, just awesome stadium. That's a fun experience. I totally recommend if you spend any time in Dallas, do a tour of AT&T Stadium. We did a tour of Madison Square Garden last year when we were in New York City. So now, not every building does a tour. It has to be, I'm pretty sure it's got to be like, a building that people would want to tour, like AT&T Stadium. Like, for instance, I don't think Kaseya Center does tours. It's a regular arena. There's nothing to it, But if you're in a city that has a unique stadium or a unique arena or ballpark, totally recommend you should do one of these tours. Really fun. We had a great time. So, fun weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend as well. Before we continue on here, let's get the Dolphins stuff, all right? But first up, I want to tell you guys, look, I've been telling you it's summertime, and if you're thinking about getting a new ride, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. If you're in the market for a new car and you can't decide where to go, I send you to North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, the only car dealership I personally endorse. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru carries the widest inventory of newest Subaru models on the market. You could be looking for the Outback or the Crosstrek. You could check out the Forester, the Ascent. Whether you're looking for a spacious Subaru SUV for the family or just a reliable Subaru sedan for your daily commute, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru is sure to have the perfect model for you. That's right. And how about this? Be payment-free for the rest of 2023 when you get a new car at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. Make no payments for 90 days when you purchase that. That's the rest of the year. Make no payments for 90 days when you purchase any North Fort Lauderdale Subaru vehicle. You can shop right now from your home. You can check it out. NFLSubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, conveniently located on North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road. The building you know and the place to go. NFLSubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. So the Dolphins, yes, your favorite football team, starts out the year 2 road wins. 2 road wins in the conference. And look, that Charger game, huge because that's potentially a team that you'd be fighting for a wild card spot with. The Patriot win, all right, Patriots suck, but a divisional win is a really big deal. 2-0 on the road to start the year, and now you come home for Denver next week, who look like the pits. So you are a home win against an 0-2 team from starting 3-0, which, look, the goal is to make the playoffs, but if you want to win the division, you take advantage of your situation. Buffalo started the year with a road loss in division, and now the Dolphins 2-0 on the road, 2-0 in the AFC, 1-0 in the AFC East. And that comes after 0-3 on the road in the AFC East last year. Big time start for the Dolphins. There was never a moment. Actually, I shouldn't say there was never a moment. There was one moment, and we'll get to that. But other than that one moment, you never thought the Dolphins were going to lose this game. Now, did it get dicey in the fourth quarter? Were they always in control? No, because the Patriots did get the ball back with a chance to tie, all right? So that fourth quarter between the blocked field goal to an interception, there were a couple moments there where things got a little bit hairy. And overall, because going into the game, I felt like they were going to win by 8 or 9 points. So they essentially did that. But I found the game to be frustrating. And think about this. The Dolphins win a game they were in control of the whole night. They were never up by less than a touchdown. They were up by 2 touchdowns for most of the game. At the Patriots, they come away with a win, and I found the game to be frustrating. That right there, if there's no other indicator, that right there is an indicator of how far this Dolphin team has come and how good you believe they are. That they won that game yesterday the way they did, and I found the game frustrating. That's a very positive sign. And I found the game frustrating because, and think about this too, I found the game frustrating because, the offense in the second half did nothing. Yeah, the one play Mostert gets the touchdown. But in a game they scored 24 points, winning at the Patriots, I was frustrated. throughout the second half. You go back a few years ago, you would kill for the Dolphins to score 24 points and be frustrated with the result. That's how far this team has come. So early on in the game, they made note where, and good job by the broadcast there, Tirico and Collinsworth pointing out, all right, you look at the defense Belichick is playing. They're playing three safeties back. They're not giving up the deep ball. They're going to take away any of the big plays. And it worked. But here's the thing. McDaniel notices it immediately, and I thought Mike McDaniel called an excellent game. I thought he called a great game, aggressively countering what the Patriots were doing defensively with aggressively running the football. What was it, 30 passes for Tua, 30 rushes, including Mostert, who was tremendous, so fast. They were aggressive defensively in not allowing the deep ball, and Mike McDaniel said, okay, we're going to be aggressive running the football. And if there's one thing where, okay, what's the weakness of this Dolphin team? Like yesterday, I was on the BetQL network with those guys out there in Vegas. What's the weakness of this Dolphin team? Is it the running game? And I said, it is the running game, but not that they can't run the ball well. The weakness for this team is whether or not they're willing to actually run the ball, whether or not they're willing to stick with running the ball. And now you understand last week where, all right, they weren't going to run it a ton because it was a close game. It was a back and forth game. And if that's the case, get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as much as possible. But this week, it was a game the Dolphins were ahead the whole time, ahead by 2 touchdowns most of the time, and they're taking away the deep play. So Belichick is banking on, you know what, this Mike McDaniel, this young coach with this explosive offense, and Tua, young quarterback who's great with the explosive plays. I don't think they're going to be patient. I don't think they're capable of being patient. And they were. What Belichick essentially did there was, the way that they were defending the Dolphins, he was not going to allow the Dolphins to put a bullet in his head. So instead, the Dolphins decided, we're going to stab you in the chest 1,000 times. And that's what they did. They were methodical and meticulous. The underneath slants, quick releases Tua, and running the football. Mike McDaniel countering what Belichick was goading him to do, which was throw the ball deep. And having the patience to stick with the running game was a major sign of maturity from Mike McDaniel. That was one of our biggest complaints last year, right? Why won't he run the football? And it's always a weird thing where we love judging coaches in their first year. Why is a coach a finished product in his first year? Why can't a coach get better every single year? Last year's version of Mike McDaniel, I don't think calls that game that he did last night. This year's version was willing to be patient, trust his offensive line, trust his running back, trust his running game. And they picked apart that Patriot defense by taking what they gave them. That was good. I thought McDaniel was tremendous last night in countering what Belichick was essentially daring him to do. And you know what else? You got to point this out. For the second game in a row, you can say, if you got to point to a sequence, you got to point to a place where, wow, different game if the Dolphins don't do that. Second game in a row, you could say the game was won by the Dolphins' aggressiveness at the end of the first half. Last week, calling the timeout with 14 seconds left. Can we get into field goal range after we get the ball back? And the answer, yes. And the Dolphins wind up winning the game by 2. This week, they're aggressive again. They call timeouts with a minute and a half left. They get the ball back. Can they drive 75 yards? Yup. Tua, underneath. Eventually, deep pass to Berrios, who's fucking awesome, by the way. And then they wind up getting the touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Incredible throws by Tua. What was he, 8 for 8, I think it was, on that 2-minute drive to end the first half? And then you get the double possession, which didn't work. The Dolphins went 3 and out earlier in the third quarter. But for 2 games in a row now, In a game they won by 7, they were super aggressive and scored a touchdown at the end of the second quarter. 2 games in a row now. You could say the Dolphins don't win the game if not for McDaniel being super aggressive at the end of the first half. I thought McDaniel had a tremendous day yesterday between the play calling and then how aggressive he was. Anytime that the Dolphins have a chance to have the football, we want to score. Any chance that we may have the football, if we have any amount of time on the clock, we're going to give ourselves a chance to score. He was fantastic yesterday, Mike McDaniel. And you know what? Going into game number 1, I really felt there was a lot of pressure. I said this. I thought there was a lot of pressure on Chris Grier because the offensive line. They didn't really do anything to shore up the offensive line. And then now 2 games in a row without Teron Armstead. The Dolphins' offensive line was very good the first game, and they were even better yesterday. Tua, first sack all season, comes early in the third quarter. It was the only time all game yesterday that he was touched. Now, yes, does some of that have to do with calling plays where Tua is going to get the ball out fast? Does some of that have to do with running the ball 30 times? Look, that's the main reason that I believe this team is going to trade for Jonathan Taylor, because it almost forces the team to run the ball. But they did that yesterday, and that helps protect Tua. This offensive line, and what's his name? Kendall Lamb filling in on the left side, left tackle for Teron Armstead. We're in a place now against Denver next week. If Armstead needs another week to be healthy, wait another week. Because this Kendall Lamb has done a terrific job. The offensive line has been fantastic. And obviously, Connor Williams and the snapping of the football is a disaster. You know, what was it, late in the game, right before the missed field goal from Jason Sanders, where he snaps the ball low to Tua. Tua can't handle it. They were going to pass that play. It was 3rd and short. They were going to pass there. Tua bobbles it. He decides to try and run forward. He gets nothing. And then you have the 55-yard field goal, which, of course, Jason Sanders missed. But I can't believe how great this offensive line has been. Really good job. Like, do you give credit? Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier said he likes the group they have. Mike McDaniel says he's never had more depth with the offensive line. And with the new offensive line coach, I mean, maybe he knows what he's doing. But this offensive line has been fantastic. Can I tell you? So the end of the game, you got the 4th down. And by the way, again, big time plays by the defense on the final drive, including getting the stop on the final play, but mixing in a sack there, which made it 3rd and long. So they get the big play, like 14 yards to make it, I think, 4th and 4. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my coffee. Very fired up this morning. And you get the completion to Gesicki. Excellent tackle. He's not even close to the line. Tosses to the offensive lineman. They make the tackle. Now, when you're watching live TV, it absolutely looked like they stopped him. It looked like they stopped him, and the line judge on both sides both come running up, marking him short. And then you have the asshole referee coming in from the center from behind who is signaling first down, and it's like, what the fuck? Not only was he short, the 2 line judges are marking him short, and the referee, trying his hardest to cheat, just comes in. He doesn't even want a measurement. He just comes in, first down, move the chains. What the hell is happening here? And so thank God you then get the booth review. And I thought the broadcast, the NBC broadcast, Tarico Collinsworth, and then bringing in Terry McCauley, who's their rules official, did an excellent job showing you he's down. He is down before the line. But those plays, the spot challenges or spot reviews are so difficult to overturn. They rarely overturn. I thought there was no chance they were overturning this play. And we could see on the replay, he is definitely short. I was so prepared for them not to overturn it. I was shocked they gave it to the Dolphins. Shocked they overturned that. That referee so badly wanted to cheat in that spot. Tua owns Belichick. 5-0 now against Belichick. And look, Belichick's attitude is so fucking tired. Obviously, he did all the winning. But 2 of the last 3 years, no playoffs minus Brady. This year, they're terrible. And you look at that roster they have. It's a terrible roster. They have nothing on offense. Devontae Parker, Smith-Schuster, give me a break. When they're telling you Ramondre Stevenson is their best player on offense, get the hell out of here. Mac Jones, we know, is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. There was no way Mac Jones was leading any kind of drive to tie or win the game. I think they would have went for 2 in the end. You look at that team, the way Belichick has put together this roster, he is so overrated. So overrated. Like, it's time to have a conversation. Nobody wants to, but it is time to have a conversation about how overrated Belichick is. Now, that doesn't mean Belichick's not good. He's a great coach. You can be overrated and still be a great coach. Meaning, there's no difference between him and guys like Andy Reid. There's no difference between Belichick and the other all-time great coaches. He's an all-time great coach. But this idea that he's this genius, by far the greatest football coach ever, second to none, there's no difference between him and other great coaches. He's great. That's it. So overrated. There is nothing special about Belichick compared to the other great coaches. Before Brady, nothing. With Brady, amazing. Brady moves on, still amazing, wins a Super Bowl. Belichick now without Brady, terrible. Misses playoffs 2 out of 3 years. And look at, they're 0-2 now this year. They're going to be last in the AFC East. Although the Jets are going to give him a run, obviously. And you look at the roster he put together. The team sucks. Patriot team sucks. So overrated, Belichick. He's not any better than any of the other all-time great coaches. You would talk about Belichick 5-10 years ago. He's all the way up here, and like Shula's all the way down here below him, and the other great coaches. Get the fuck out of here. He is no better than any of the other great Hall of Fame coaches. The only difference was he had Brady. It's pretty clear at this point. And what I'm telling you here, Belichick is overrated. Don't misconstrue. You know, I tell you all the time, the most overrated comedy is The Hangover. The Hangover is the most overrated comedy of all time. I think The Hangover is great. It's really funny. But the way that you talk about The Hangover as if it's the greatest comedy of all time, it's some cinematic, comedic masterpiece. No, it's not. I can name a dozen comedies so much better and funnier than The Hangover. Doesn't mean The Hangover is not great. It is great, but it's very overrated. Belichick's a great coach. Is he so much better than the other great coaches? Nope. He is no better than any of them. Belichick, so overrated. So, and I wanted to mention this too. Belichick's attitude. Oh my goodness. The act is so tired. There were 2 instances last night, right? You had the one instance where he challenged. And yes, now they ended up losing the challenge, but I thought it was a poor spot by the officials. So if I'm Belichick, I would have challenged there also. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they lost that challenge. I would have challenged there too. And Belichick was so disgusted. You know, it's like when Eric Spoelstra, he does this too. It's like when Eric Spoelstra has to use his challenge, and he's angry that he has to use the challenge because if you just made the correct call in the first place, I wouldn't have to waste a challenge here. So Belichick, I understand where he's coming from there. That was the attitude, the way that he threw down the flag right at the feet of the official who was standing next to him. Because his mentality is, if you just got the call right, I wouldn't have to waste my challenge here. This is a terrible job out of you. You fucked up. Except here's the thing. Belichick throws that challenge flag in disgust at the official getting the call wrong, as if Belichick's team isn't sitting on 3 points late in the third quarter. Like, your team is just as bad as that call was from the official. You're not coaching some perfect game. Your players are not playing some perfect game. Your team is terrible. You have 3 points late in the third quarter. That call right there, that missed call by the official, wouldn't matter so much if your team wasn't just as bad. And then later on in the fourth quarter, when you had the personal foul, the targeting call on Jalen Waddle, which was a very, very easy call. Because you look at the replay, leans in with his helmet, the ball is so far past Waddle. Belichick, you could see mouthing to the official, he's so angry, he's going for the ball. He's going for the ball. Bullshit. You look at the replay, goes forward with his helmet, and the ball is so far gone at that point. Such an easy call, and he's so angry when he's so clearly wrong. He might be the most overrated coach of all time, Belichick. Again, that doesn't mean that he's not great. It doesn't mean he's anything but great. But I am over hearing about Belichick being the greatest coach. There is nothing that separates him from all the other all-time Hall of Fame coaches. He's right there with them. He is with all of those guys. He is not any better. The only difference is he had Brady. That's it. The most overrated coach there is. Maybe in all of sports. Now I'm very pleased with the Dolphins yesterday. But now we got to get to what's a major problem. And that's the kicker. Jason Sanders is a major problem for this team. Now, I've been telling you since early last year, Jason Sanders sucks. He's going to cost this team a playoff game. I said it all last year. And I'm going to tell you again, and we've already seen it in both of the first 2 games. One of the things I really liked about Brian Flores, who I think we're learning stunk as a head coach, but one of the things I really liked about Brian Flores, he had no problem identifying a potential problem and moving on from it before it becomes a major problem. You saw early in his first couple years, he fired offensive line coaches. This is not going to cut it. There may not be any reason to fire you right now, but I see this is not going to cut it. I don't want to wait till it costs us a game. I'm firing you now. Brian Flores, I always felt, was really good at identifying that problem, at least trying to fix it before it shows itself as a major problem. He was very proactive in that fashion. Mike McDaniel, going back to last year, has not been willing to do that with the kicker. This was a problem all of last year. Jason Sanders had the good first year. He had a phenomenal first year with the Dolphins. They then rewarded him with the contract. He's been awful ever since. He's terrible. And for a team that clearly is a Super Bowl contender, the kicker is a major liability. Can you imagine? This team is finally a Super Bowl contender, and we're going to get to a spot in the playoffs where the stupid kicker costs them a chance at the Super Bowl. Think about how fucking angry you're going to be when that happens. Brian Flores was really good at being proactive with things that you could see are going to be a problem. Mike McDaniel has to see this is a problem, and he has not been willing to do anything about it. I don't remember what game it was last year, but I remember I thought Sanders was done. I thought they were going to cut him and have a new kicker the next week. It didn't happen. I think they should have a new kicker next week. It is very clearly a problem. I want to say I wouldn't be surprised if they have a new kicker next week, because clearly McDaniel has to see it. Clearly, Chris Greer has to see it, but they didn't pull the trigger at any point last year or in the offseason. So, yeah, I would be surprised. Even though they should have a new kicker next week, yeah, I'd be surprised if they did. There was never a point, think about this, there was never a point in any of these games, these two games, that I thought they were going to lose until Jason Sanders did the bullshit. Last week, you had the bullshit. He misses the extra point. And for the first time all that game, wow, the Dolphins are going to lose on a field goal. And this week, never thought they were going to lose until Jason Sanders, with a chance to ice the game with just over 2 minutes left, misses the field goal. Wow, the Patriots are going to drive the field goal for 2 and win. 2 straight weeks, the Dolphins were in position to win a road game. And 2 straight weeks, Jason Sanders put them in a position to lose the game. You have to get rid of him. And think about this. You know, when I was younger, if you were kicking a 50-yard field goal, whoa, that was a really long kick. Like, when I was a kid, Jason Elam, Broncos, makes a 52 yards. Like, oh my God, you're the best kicker ever. Now, if you're kicking a 50-yard field goal, so nothing to it. So makeable. Guys kick 57, 58-yard field goals. They got an extra 5 yards on it when it splits the uprights, no problem. Jason Sanders is 4 for 13 now over the last 2 seasons, kicking from 50-plus yards. 4 for 13, which ranks him last in the league. Even having... So, you know, the question becomes, the Dolphins, Tua loses the yards because you had the bad snap, 37-yard line, 4th down. You could either punt or kick a field goal to win the game. Field goal to ice the game. If you miss it, though, which they did, you're giving them the ball near midfield with a chance to tie or win the game. Or should you punt? Even having to second guess kicking a 55-yard field goal, which is very makeable for every kicker in the league, apparently except Jason Sanders. Having to second guess kicking a 55-yard field goal, which would ice the game, and consider maybe we should just punt instead, that shows you what a massive liability Jason Sanders is. That should be an easy decision. Should we kick a 55-yard field goal to ice the game, or should we punt it? No, we're not going to punt it. Make a 55-yarder. The fact that you even have to second guess that decision shows you Jason Sanders needs to be gone. That's a no-brainer to kick that 55-yarder and ice the game. And if you don't know if you should do that maybe you should punt, you have to get rid of this guy. He is a major problem. God forbid we're in January and remembering this conversation. Get rid of this guy. All right. I mean, you guys know I love Sheets and Giggles. Jason Sanders cost the Dolphins that game last night. I don't even know if Sheets and Giggles would have allowed me to get to sleep. I mean, we know Sheets and Giggles, we're talking the best sleep I'm ever having in my life. Naturally softer, cooler, more breathable sheets. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to get my sheets from. I go to sheetsgiggles.com. If it's your first time shopping on sheetsgiggles.com, use promo code ZASLOW upon checkout, 20% off your first order. Made from eucalyptus. That's right. You know, a koala sleeps up to 18 hours on a eucalyptus tree. You know how comfortable I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow? Have you ever slept on a eucalyptus mattress? Go to sheetsgiggles.com. You're going to get the best sleep of your life. Like I said, Sanders, if he cost the Dolphins that game, I don't know if Sheets and Giggles would have been able to get me to sleep, but if anything would have helped me get to sleep last night, it would have been Sheets and Giggles. You're going to become one of over 100,000 Americans who are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. You're never turning back. Sheets and Giggles, the only bed sheets we're ever going to use in the Zaslow Mansion. Sheetsgiggles.com.